Hey folks, it's Maxwell here and welcome to a brand new TW9 video. You join us just 11 days away from AEW Dynasty, and hopefully we have a good show here for Dynamite, and then of course leading on to the other shows. I've got a lot of stuff off on Shockwave. I think today, in particular for Dynamite, there's a lot of kind of like emphasis and storylines and probably recorrecting stuff that I've maybe let slide. I do feel there's a few things that I just kind of went, oh well, that's kind of went, oh I forgot about that. So hopefully I tied up a few loose ends. And yeah, puts us into a big idea of the bigger spotlight of where the storylines are going. So sit back, relax, and hopefully enjoy this week's AEW Dynamite. So we're straight into the show from the Bojangles Coliseum, and it is a Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group A match. And it was about that had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, as Mercedes Moné defeated Takuma Iroha in 13-16 by pinfall. I made this steal the show. I wanted to try and get the best out of Mercedes. Her performance was a 66 to Takuma's 74. The wrestling was a 70, the crowd was a 50, but overall this segment was a 75. So good stuff there. We're starting to get there with Mercedes a little bit, but I still feel there's a long way to go. So this was a two-part segment. The first part was basically Mercedes in the ring. She just basically cuts a promo saying that she's focused now. She's starting to show that she's on another level, and she's going to put all the pressure in the world on Toni Storm to make her try and lose one, so then she can obviously try and draw level with her on points. Mercedes then heads to the back and she bumps into Hikaru Shida, and Shida basically says, just remember one thing, Toni Storm's path has to come through Hikaru Shida. If someone can beat Toni Storm, it's Hikaru Shida, and remember, Mercedes is the only person to defeat Shida so far. If Shida wins every other match, then she will be level in points with him as well, so we could end up potentially with a big tie with three very good athletes. But overall, 61, 64 for the first segment, 55 for the other, as we continue in the Super Shine Grand Prix. We had a decent matchup that saw Chris Statlander defeat Sarii in 9:55 with the Big Bang Theory. This was in Group D, a 65 for the wrestling, a 45 for the crowd, and a 60 overall. I'd say there's some good stuff there with Stat getting a 66. And Sarii getting a 63. Obviously she wouldn't quite have the popularity within the US. And just a reminder, in this instance, Chris Statlander's still a heel and is still aligned with Stokely Hathaway. We then cut backstage with a little segment between our two authority figures, one for the men, one for the women, Scott D'Amore and Jessie McKee. And Scott basically credits Jessie for the tournament and basically for lighting a fire under Mercedes Moné. It's been some of the best stuff she's done in a long, long time. But Jessie just basically says, yeah, it's been good, it's been a good start, and it's good that people are starting to take her seriously. She's really here to make a big statement as a real strict authority figure and show that she can help women's wrestling. She can put the platform there for our great athletes to go to a good level. But it says it's only the start. They need to kick on. There's so much further and so much more depth we can go with this women's division. Because I think ideally in the future I'd love another lower card title. So obviously you've got TBS and something else. And I'd love tag titles. Trios might be pushing it, but as I say, the sky's the limit. Hopefully get some more tournaments. But yeah, again, hoping to improve the overness of Scott D'Amore and Jessie with this segment, which was a 47. Jessie also getting better at her gimmick. Good stuff. So we then cut to a little segment backstage. We see Bryan Danielson alongside Wheeler Yuta as Sammi Zayn is warming up for his main event matchup. Sammy's basically being motivated by Bryan. He just says, you can do this, you know how good you are, you can beat Pac, you've beaten him before, you can beat him again. He turns around to Wheeler Yuta and just basically says, think of what this man's done in his career, what he done prior on the Indies, what he's done in Ring of Honor before. He's not some generic guy, and what he's done in his prior company. You can really take a inspiration from Sammi Zayn. In this instance, Eddie Kingston bursts into the locker room, and he just basically says, what's happened, bro? You've got this geezer in from the other side, but what about me? You know, you had me, you had Daniel Garcia, we were all aligned. Now, fair enough, Danny had to patch out because he's got MGF. But I'm here to help AEW. I've beat Pac before. I hate Claudio. Bryan says it's nothing personal, but he just wants people that he can trust in the battle line. He says, obviously, Eddie's got a wee bit of temper. He's obviously had issues with Bryan before. And then he's absolutely raging at this point. He just says, just turns around to you and goes, you better watch yourself before this guy ends up bringing somebody else in from the outside and then they take your spot and you're left with nothing. I'm finished, I'm done with this. Because obviously Eddie was part of that, and I did feel like we kind of moved him to the side. So I felt like I did have to address it. And then you get that kind of argument where now I can look at aligning a few people with Eddie. And I don't want to just go Ortiz and someone. I'd rather try and find something that matches up. But we'll see what happens. But anyway, it's obviously the trio at the moment is obviously Brian, Yuta and Sammy. They're looking to take on obviously the likes of Pac, etc. You've still got Darby Allin kicking about, of course he's got his issues with Hangman. So the segment advanced the storyline. It was a 69. Yuta was poor trying to improvise. I thought it would benefit Sammy and Eddie. And Brian benefits from a groundswell of public support. Next up, we're about that had some decent wrestling, but didn't have much heat, as Riho defeated Queen Aminata in 8:38 with a jumping knee attack. I made it storytelling, it was the weakest match on the card. 53 overall was okay, and that was in Group C, so a good win there for Riho, because I don't think she's won too much, and I felt like it was a good opportunity to give her a win. And then decided to have a little segment here where we basically had Renee Paquette with Willow Nightingale, basically hyping up her matchup with Athena. I'm unsure if it's going to be on Collision or if it's going to be in Shockwave. We'll just say it's going to be in Saturday in game regardless anyway. And Willow just talks about how they've had a history with Athena, you know, they've had great matches. But she says this is it, this is going to reignite her AEW career and lead her to winning the Super Shine Grand Prix. Athena butts in and just basically says she's been on a completely different planet. You know, what has Willow done? Athena's here, reigning TBS champion, undefeated. She just basically says you've got no chance. And obviously Renee's there to moderate it, but at the same time she obviously boosted it with a good performance. And that was a segment as a 59. It'll be one of those two shows, I'm not too sure yet, but as I say, at one point this week we'll have that. And we'll also have Deonna Purrazzo versus Mina Shirakawa. Well, this was impressive. Bout had some great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as Jamie Hayter defeats Izumi in 10:04 with a curb stomp. This match was part of the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group B. 73 for the wrestling, a 40 for the crowd, and a 75 for the segment. Izumi's getting a little bit stale, so we'll probably need to target that. Of course, she is on a handshake deal with Stardom, so we do have her on a written deal, not exclusive, because I'd just be poaching her. But a 79 and 67, great chemistry. That's really, really promising. I think these are two ladies that could certainly, if we get Izumi a bit more popular, could take that into the 80s. So, good stuff, but Jamie Hayter picks up the 3 points. And then a little segment with Don Callis. Takeshita's not there, he's basically speaking about Takeshita, but it is just him speaking about all things Takeshita and DCF. So basically he talks about Takeshita being a valiant champion. He's been defending the International Championship everywhere, and that's why he's injured at this moment in time. But he will be back soon, it just means he won't have a defence this month when his jaw is fully healed. So basically, he's out for 21 days with a broken jaw, he's going to miss Dynasty, so if I have a little bit of a segment for it, it kind of explains that. He says, as for the Don Callis family, at the moment he only has Takeshita, he's still waiting to see what's happening with Trent. Trent is fit, I just don't have anything for him at the moment, so we'll just say he's not in the Don Callis family, but he technically still probably is. But we will look to bring more people into the group. So I feel like stuff like this, the Continental Championship, obviously Omega versus Lashley, I could probably explain a little bit better in segments, but obviously we take up that much time with the tournaments. Some of the storylines get a bit put to the back. But still, 68 for your Takeshita update. Then a little segment backstage where we see Mark Briscoe, 1/3 of the Trios Championships, and he was crowded out by, first off, Chris Jericho, who went, "Oh hi Mark, remember me?" Jericho distracts old rival Mark Briscoe before his faction members of the Undeniable Wardlow and Ricky Starks beat the hell out of Mark Briscoe. Chris Jericho then says this company's getting like faction warfare, and I get it, we probably should get involved. And also, considering that you have the Trios Championships, consider yourself a marked man while your boys are out in action later tonight. They're about to face the Butcher and the Blade, obviously that being FTR. So it means obviously then we can bring the likes of the Mark Briscoe and FTR into this big faction warfare. And you can bring in Jericho's faction of Starks and Wardlow. I think we're going to have like 2 babyface factions against, at this point, 7 heel factions, but hey, it's cool. 61, and it's going to give more people chances to interact and have stuff against each other. But that matchup If I can get the text back to bigger again, please. Right click, there we go. Decent well brawl, FTR defeat the Butcher on the Blade in 9:59 when Cash Wheeler pinned the Blade with a big rig. So Briscoe's Tag Team Cup Group B, 59-41-64. Yeah, solid enough. Does the job. I'd like to try and get the FTR into 70 rated performances, but a win over the Butcher of the Blade gives them 3 points here. And our main event was about to had some great wrestling and good heat as Sammi Zayn defeated Pac in 22-26 with the Brainbuster, a 78, an 62 and an 82 overall. Hopefully that's because we made it over 20 minutes. I just felt like you've got to give these two the time. 75 for Sammy, 80 for Pac in ring, so that's best performance by a mile. Both guys have great chemistry together and that showed their performances. But yeah, Pac picks up the win, so win over Pac of the Blackpool Combat Club in the main event. However, we then saw an absolute annihilation of Sammy by old friend, old rival, basically everything. And Claudio Castagnoli basically just gives him like a beast of an uppercut and just maybe does like a massive swing. We give Sammy basically taking a hell of a beating here, and he takes a stunt bump as well. This is basically to allow us to set up Claudio Castagnoli versus Sammi Zayn at Dynasty. And that segment also was an 82, so we are going to have a very strong show here, probably gaining pop thanks to that match and thanks to this segment. We finish up the show with a 76 promo from John Moxley, which advances the storyline, gains heat because he improvised well. You can see here he's got a wee new logo. It's just one of the random logos in the picture pack. I just wanted to take it away from the Blackpool Combat Club. But if I can read it out to you, I feel it's time for me to remind you all what this is all about. We tried to end Brian's career. We should have, but alas, it was only the full-time part. And until we physically injure him and he's no longer able to compete, he's still here. But the bigger picture, the ideals of AEW, Tony Khan's ideals of AEW, it's just not what Claudio or what Pac agreed to be. And if people around here want to change that, then they'll have to go through us. Now I get it, it's heated at the top. A lot of guys are thinking they are, oh, we're just a club, we'll be easy. We are no longer the BCC, we are Death Riders. We will do whatever it takes. We're better than a kingdom, a gang, and a fragile man who's trusting outsiders to do him a turn. Brian, you're one of 3 men that I'm going to beat down and destroy at Dynasty. This warning doesn't just extend to you, but to Jay White, Adam Cole, and any other man who's brave enough to step up to faction warfare. So basically, that was my wee kind of promo there that I feel like we needed Moxley to basically continue to tell us the mission statement, because I feel I've completely put that in the back burner. So the aim is still to end Brian and end AEW. That is their plan. I need to make a switch from the BCC to Death Riders as well, but at least he talks about how the 3 of them have beef with Brian, they have beef with the Bang Bang Gang, they have beef with Undisputed Kingdom, and there's a wee hint there with faction warfare, other factions could get involved. So basically I just want like 7 or 8 factions that can all integrate with each other and just have proper matches. Maybe even could end up with a thriving trios division at the end of this. And we gave that icon, as I say, as their wee badge. Overall, 79, increased their popularity in 52 regions. That's what you love to see, so everywhere across the board with that 79. So that's the kind of shows we need to be hitting if we want to get close to big, because obviously low 70s weren't quite cutting it. But much better there. Massive props to Mercedes Moné against Takuma Riho, to Jimmy Hater against Izumi, and the stuff at the end there with Claudio and Sammy was absolutely fantastic as well. I know the fans are disappointed that storylines weren't furthered. They were, in an extent of, we've obviously extended the stuff with Brian a lot, but it is more so in promos. We've done a lot of tournament stuff, as I say. I'm intrigued to see how storyline heavy I go when the tournament's done. But alas, we'll still have a few rounds of the tournament to go. I think it might even be until in the road to Double or Nothing before we properly have everything's storylines, and there'll not be any tournaments until the Owen Hunt in the summer. So locker room incidents before Rampage was absolutely none. I'll go and book Rampage, which is now going to happen. So we start a round up with Rampage from the Bojangles Coliseum. That double taping got just over 6,000 fans, so good stuff there. I pretty much dedicated the full show to the Super Shine Grand Prix. So we had Fujimoto defeat Giselle Shaw in a 49. Alex Windsor defeat Mayu Yamashita in an upset win in a 46. We had some words from Lee Moriarty, which was a 48. We had Masha Slamovich defeat Felka in a very impressive 64. I had Maxi Impaler defeat Saru Inoi in 45. We had some words from Saraya before her matchup with Maki Ito, which was a 48. We had Maki Ito do her sing and dance to the ring, which gathered a 58. And the main event saw Saraya defeat Maki Ito in a 52 rated matchup. So, not amazing stuff, but as I say, it got 5 matches in the tournament through. And yeah, puts us on road now to Collision, which is going to be interesting because I booked it at 5 in the morning. It looked a really good show in terms of continuity, in terms of storylines progressing and stuff being addressed. Whether I wrote a lot of nonsense remains to be seen because I say it was in the middle of the night. But yeah, I'm hoping, as I say, spoke to a few people about kind of what I'd been doing. Felt like, yeah, they're kind of right. I could have improved a few things. So hopefully, it's a good episode. So let's jump from Rampage onto Collision. So we're in the Minneapolis Armory, and sadly we start off with a matchup that just didn't click, but it was about to have some good heat and a decent wrestling with it. Kenny Omega defeats Donovan Dijak of the Hurt Syndicate in 9:29 by pinfall. This match was designed to steal the show. I wasn't sure if they would click. I thought it would be quite a weird one, kind of just visualising it in my head, but I went with it. Sadly though, didn't click, showed their performances, and it resulted in a 65 and a 45 for the wrestling, a 55 rating for the matchup, a 55 for the crowd, and a 63 for the overall segment. So Kenny getting some momentum before he takes on the Hurt Syndicate leader, Bobby Lashley, next week. We have some words from MVP, who obviously accompanying him has been Bobby Lashley, Powerhouse Hobbs and Shelton Benjamin. And he says, "It was a good win, Kenny, a very impressive performance against Donovan Dijak. Now normally we'd come down there and we'd beat the living crap out of you, but we want you to make it to Dynasty, because you're going to crumble there, and you're going to fall to the almighty Bobby Lashley, who's going to take that Continental Championship away from you to become the new champion." So that was kind of the idea there. It's like, we could beat you up easily, 3-on-1 assault, but we want you to make it. We don't want any excuses, and we want Bobby to come out as champion. So 58 there. In the Super Shane Elite Grand Prix Group D, we had a decent matchup that saw Serena Deeb defeat Marina Shafir in 8:58 with a surprise cradle. This matchup was designed to tell a specific story. So my mentality behind this one was, obviously Serena's a fantastic grappler, Marina has a mixed martial arts background. I just wanted to make it look like that Marina was a very dangerous opponent and Serena would be kind of having to wrestle her way around it, and she manages to do that and gets a surprise cradle victory. So a 51 for the wrestling, 38 for the crowd, 52 for the segment overall. Serena with a 59, Marina with a 44, and sadly Marina was off her game. So what we've just witnessed is Serena overcoming Marina Shafir with the roll up. Marina, she gets up, she looks at Serena, and she kind of has that way where she kind of offers her a handshake, and Serena Deeb accepts it. You know, Marina kind of then bows to Serena, basically saying to her, you know, very impressive victory, you know, you were a fantastic technical performance here, and you've just had the better of me here. So even though she has a heel, Serena's also a heel, there might be some sort of alliance with these two in the future, so a 44, I'd be hinting towards that. And in the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group B, we had a wild brawl, because I needed one of those matches that had a decent reaction, but subpar wrestling. Camille defeats Maki Ito in 8:10 with a spear. I feel Camille needed some victories to make her look a bit more stronger, so a 49 for the wrestling, 50 for the segment. Camille picks up some well-needed 3 points. Then a little segment backstage, and this is surely going to be our top segment in 86, so that's obviously good to see. So really, Sammy's carrying. But I had here Bryan Danielson and Sammi Zayn talking strategy for the main event. The matchup is going to see Bryan and Sammy team up to take on the Undisputed Kingdoms, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. I'm sure that's what I booked. It's great that I can't remember, but you know, it's 2 out of the 3 anyway. Joy's booking at 5 AM, but just basically talking about, you know, just keep doing what we're doing. We know how dangerous the Undisputed Kingdom can be, but we've got enough experience that we should come out as victorious. So that was an 86, both performing well off script. Into the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group A, we had a decent matchup that saw Hikaru Shida defeat Sky Blue in 7:38 with the Tamashii. 60 for the segment overall. Sky Blue benefiting from our groundswell of public support. Shida with a 62 performance, so she's kind of like a dark horse in the chance she still could win that group, and is putting a wee bit more pressure on Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné. So, a few things to cover in this particular segment. Renee Paquette is interviewing FTR regarding the situation in the Briscoes Tag Team Cup, but they first want to address the beatdown on Mark Briscoe. They say they are the Trios champions alongside Mark Briscoe. They know they are in the Trios and the Tag Division at this point, and they just say to Chris Jericho, no, what you're doing is to say we have no problems if this is going to go to stable warfare or faction warfare. Mark Briscoe alongside FTR could be a very dangerous team, and it'll go to any length. So Chris Jericho, Ricky Starks, Wardlow, undeniable. You better watch. While that's happening, we get an interruption by the Acclaimed, and they just say, I hope you guys realise that while you're dealing with stuff like that in the Trios division, we've got a tag team tournament, and your next opponents in that cup is us. Caster talks about being the best wrestler alive and just says, I've had the number of FTR before, and if we want to become the champions of this cup and getting way back to becoming tag team champions, they're going to have to beat FTR. So we'll see you on Shockwave. So basically setting up a Shockwave match. I'm trying to do that a lot more often, to set up matches for the upcoming show. So you've obviously got the situation with the Trios, but then we'll also get FTR's cup matches. So yeah, happy with that one. Decent, bit different, 56. Then had a good wrestling match and a decent reaction from the crowd as Toni Storm defeated Misa Ruga in 9-10 with the Strong Zero. This matchup was a part of the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group A, so more pressure on Mercedes Moné. 71 for Toni, a 62 for Misa Ruga, and it carries to a segment of a 68, so pretty impressive stuff there. We cut backstage where we see Eddie Kingston, who's bumped into Wheeler Yuta, and he just says, listen man, look at what Brian is doing, and he's doing it again tonight. Him and Sammy teaming up. Where's your Yuta? You know, you should be in these matches. You've been with Brian with the start. He made one mistake, an unfortunate mistake, but Brian came back. I just don't see why he doesn't have this faith in you. I'm out. I'm taking nothing else to do with him. I'm going to do me, partner, but you do you. Just watch yourself. So some odds there from Eddie Kingston on Wheeler Yuta. What is Yuta going to do in the future? It's a 61. Kingston improvised well, and Yuta was terrible. So I hope it makes a bit of sense. Obviously, addresses why Eddie Kingston was kind of quiet for a bit, and obviously why Brian is kind of swayed towards Sammy and left Yuta in the dark. Next up in the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group C, decent matchup saw Deonna Purrazzo defeat Mina Shirakawa in 9:30 with the Fujiwara armbar. Some okay stuff there. Surprised that Mina was only a 53, Deonna with an impressive 65. The gimmick's getting a little bit stale on Mina, so that's something we are going to have to look at and look to improve, and hopefully we can do so. But pretty happy with the 63 overall, as Deonna could be a little late threat in Group C. So this segment, I'm going to be honest, I literally watched, going way back to just before Full Gear, the Jack Perry and Matt Menard segment, and I've kind of copied that a wee bit. But basically here we have Daddy Magic, Matt Menard's on his phone in the backstage area, and he is decimated by MJF. He is completely beaten down, he's bloodied, and just MJF just has a field day with him. He then looks to the camera, and he just cuts a short promo with a few words for Danny Garcia. Danny boy, I'm going to do everything I can to get into your head. I've taken your friend out, Daddy Magic. I'm going to take you out. And next Saturday, I'm going to take your TNT Championship as well. I'm going to make your life hell, because I'm better than you, and you'd know it. So a 65 for the segment. Actually, the promo was a 78. The beatdown of Daddy Magic was only a 50 because of his overness. But just adding a little bit to MJF v Daniel Garcia before that matchup takes place next Saturday night. Next up, I decided to have like a small 5-minute video documenting the careers of Christian Cage and Orange Cassidy in AEW. Basically, Christian from his debut, all the big time matches he's had in the start of the Patriarchy, to winning the contract, to then winning the championship, and then basically the whole journey we've heard from Orange Cassidy, from apparently being a meme wrestler to stepping up to big occasions and being the ultimate underdog. So these two will collide next Saturday night for the AEW World Championship. Christian Cage, Orange Cassidy. And that is how we have arrived at where we are. So a 54. Storyline loses a little bit though, which is a bit of a shame, but a 54. It's decent. I know where I want to go with the championship, but it's just a case of taking a few steps to get there. So after all that, it was Cole and Roddy in our main event, but Bryan Danielson and Sammi Zayn versus Undisputed Kingdom, Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. Technical masterclass that had great wrestling, good heat. I had the Undisputed Kingdom's Adam Cole and Roderick Strong defeat Bryan Danielson and Sammi Zayn in 21:03 when Adam Cole pinned Bryan Danielson with the boom after a distraction. That should have been Kyle O'Reilly then, my bad. These mistakes happen. But Bryan carries it in terms of in-ring performance. Some of his overness should go to Adam Cole, which will hopefully help launch him. I kind of wished it was a wee bit better. Maybe Adam just needs to get a wee bit better. So, that's something we need to work on. His attributes maybe aren't quite at the level of everyone else, so we need to try and get him there to suit our product. But 73 wrestling, 59 crowds, 75 segment. Of course, we have a 40-60 balance on popularity to ability effectively, so maybe we need to try and lean more into the popularity for Adam. But it just shows he's going to be a threat at this Fatal 4-Way next week. And it's a big, massive victory over the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. And we end the show with the 3 men standing tall of the Undisputed Kingdom, which shows it should have been Kyle, but he enjoys the 5 AM booking as they mock everyone. They stand and do the kind of wee Undisputed Kingdom. I don't know if they've got a taunt, but we'll just say they do. As Cole, Kyle, and Roddy stand tall to a 66. So you've got them. You've got Bryan's stable, which is a bit edgy and a bit all over the place. You've got the Death Riders. You've got Bang Bang Gang. You've got Jericho's gang. You've got FTR alongside Mark Briscoe. And there's probably a lot more. It is proper gang warfare. The show in the end was only a 76. It gave this popularity in 4 regions, so the matchup, we do need to be hitting basically into the high 70s now, if not into the 80s, if we're going to have any chance of gaining pop. So we are really going to be relying a lot on pretty much Sammi Zayn and Bryan Danielson. So good job. There's a few feuds coming forward that hopefully should see us quite comfortable with matches. Promos are going to be really interesting, just angles in general. So we'll see what we can do. But we're still kind of feeding off a few things for real life, because obviously I like to have that wee continuity for real life. People come back for injury, tying up a few loose ends. But overall, happy enough with it. An instance before Shockwave, absolutely nothing. I'll go book that, and we'll see you for Shockwave. So we finish up the week's taping at the Minneapolis Armory in front of 5,800 fans for Shockwave. And we decided to get the storyline stuff out the way with a Will Ospreay promo on Swerve Strickland. So in this kind of promo, I'd basically just Ospreay come out and say, so Swerve wants me to help elevate himself to the world title by defeating me, apparently. It's pretty fitting that is my theme song, and everyone always has a banger with me. You might have won the last time, Sunshine, but next Saturday, I'm going to bring back some of that aerial assassin as we both have to descend to the sky and climb a ladder to retrieve that #1 contendership contract for Double or Nothing. You're a dangerous man, I get that. You know, you claim to be the most dangerous man in AEW, but remember, bruv, I am Will Ospreay, and if I need to go to that level, I get to a level that you're never ever going to reach, bruv. So just Ospreay saying a few words about Swerve, try to build a bit more heat for this feud, and the ladder match, of course, is going to take place at Dynasty. So a 72 for that, not the best. I was hoping Ospreay could maybe improvise it a bit more into the higher 70s. So we're going to put a lot of pressure on our main event to deliver, so I think we might lose a bit of pop here. But still, it gains heat, and it's another step towards Dynasty. Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group C matchup. Decent wild brawl here saw Thunder Rosa pick up the win over Masha Slamovich in 9:42 with La Rosa. 60 for the wrestling, a 42 for the crowd, a 67 for the segment. Thunder Rosa really off her game, and sadly I put her down at a 45, but because these two had great chemistry, I think both of them worked with that kind of wild brawl style. Masha got 74, she's been outstanding so far. I think she's someone we'll properly fully invest once the tournament's over, it must be said. But after the matchup, we have a short promo from Thunder Rosa. She heads to the back, she speaks to the remarkable Renee Paquette, and she just says, it's been a while since people have remembered what Lamella Mella can do. I hope that's her name, I'm sure it is, her nickname. but just saying that Thunder Rosa is someone that we need to keep an eye on going forward. I think it's someone that didn't book particularly well in TW 2020. Hopefully we can remedy that a little bit in TEWIX. So 56 for that. Renee looks excellent, so I know for a fact she can always help in those kind of segments. Next up, it was the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group A, and a decent match-up. Taya Valkyrie picked up her first points by defeating Tay Melo in 7:44 by pinfall via the Road to Valhalla. 50, 35, 39 for the segment overall, so I think it would have been probably low 50s, but because of them don't have the most overness at this point in time, the fans were maybe not too invested, but it gives Taya something to build on. Next up, we had a little segment, not even backstage, just basically randomly in a street. We have Raven alongside the scapegoat, Jack Perry, and his intimidating monster, Rhino. Raven says, "I told you, Jack, look what you're capable of, defeating Will Ospreay last week. If you build on this, you can do great things. You've got this war machine next to you, a man that could just go destroy anybody for you. It's time to expand. Be a true leader." Basically trying to get him to have his own kind of Raven's flock here. Jack Perry says, "The world sees me as a scapegoat, an outcast, and it's time for them. It's time for me to show them who I truly am, what I am capable of with the right people round about me." So a 45, not the greatest, but obviously I'm looking to expand Jack Perry's alliances with various people. Raven's never going to get in ring, he's just kind of like a mentor role here, and I can use him as a road agent, but he's got Rhino to go people by the side, and maybe more followers in the future. Next up in the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group D, about had some decent wrestling, but not much heat as Risa Nakajima defeated Max the Impaler at 8:37 by countout. So I made it storytelling here, obviously two different type of styles, but I felt like we need to give Nakajima some points, and we could protect Max the Impaler with that type of defeat. Sadly, again, not the most over, so only a 42 for the full segment. Next was the Briscoes Tag Team Cup Group B, and we had a decent match up here that saw FTR defeat the Acclaimed in 8:52, and Cash Wheeler pinned Max Caster with the big rig. Made this steal the show, but it wasn't particularly great. A 60, a 47 and a 64. Bones was off his game, which only brought a 58. Not particularly great stuff from Cash Wheeler or Max Caster either. But yeah, it was basically to give FTR a good win over the Acclaimed. Then had a triple segment, trying to explain it best I can. So basically started off with Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood. Oh, I've been a mess. This somehow Chris Hero's been involved. That should have been Chris Jericho. Right, so the plan was basically Harwood and Wheeler call out Jericho, Starks and Wardlow because of the attack on Mark Briscoe. Just say they'll get revenge for their body, they'll take them out. This then sees Jericho, Starks and Wardlow come out. Jericho says some words, Starks does as well. He says, "We'll beat you up. There's only two of you, there's three of us. We'll take those trios championships away for you." We have the wee third segment, which is basically, if I can click on it, Jericho, Starks and Wardlow attacking Wheeler and Harwood before Briscoe makes the save, so you get the 3v3 brawl. Effectively a good way to set up that trios match next week for the championship, which will be FTR and Mark Briscoe against Jericho, Ricky Starks and Wardlow. And Chris Hero was the famous, we clicked the wrong button. So 58, Jericho's getting better at his gimmick. 58, 54, 60. Not the best. So I think we're definitely losing pop here. That should take us to our main event, I believe. Which is about had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as Athena defeated Willow Nightingale in 22:04 with a top rope stunner. This was part of the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group B. I felt like because of their history, it was good to give them the time and their main event. They did feel they'd be used Willow a bit too much, but I'm happy with it. 68, 52, 70. It's good stuff. If MD's going to help elevate Willow, it's probably Athena. But yeah, I think we'll be about a 69 here, so we'll probably lose a bit of pop. 67, so we lose our popularity in 15 regions. We gain it in 27, which will obviously be the European countries. Willow was overused, and the fans were disappointed that we didn't further Tory stories. We don't tend to do too many in this particular show, especially in matches, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. So we'll quickly finish that, 'cause we've got a lot to recap. 2.5 million for that taping, so we're up to 106 million in the bank. Popularity, still a good position, as I say. 72, it's still 5 off where we need to get to the next level. But I still feel we would probably need a few guys to get to that main level of like proper main eventers ahead of everybody else. Basically joining like Bryan Danielson and a few others there. But we'll cut to the main screen, we'll see if anything's taking place, any items, any news items. And yeah, we'll have a look at the tournament standings the week before Dynasty, so I think we can confirm we're going to double or nothing with these tournaments. So, a few things to confirm. AJ Styles will be going on a tour with All Japan. That's pretty much it there. We confirm the signing to Ring of Honor of Carmen Petrovic. That's how many developmental companies I've got now. I've bought a lot of places to get that achievement. But Ring of Honor is where she'll go. Mick Foley's contract's ending. I'll see what I'm doing with Mick because he was a real short-term contract just to do that segment with Jack Perry. Was it Jack Perry? No, I do Hangman, sorry. Collision 1.1. Shockwave get the 4 million off the network. Dax Harwood's causing rifts. Dax Harwood had Sky Blue arguing with Dijak. Powerhouse Hobbs arguing with Dijak. And Shirakawa. Fair enough. She's probably like, we want Mina. But I think with Dijak is he's not here for a massively long time. It's a handshake deal, so I could probably let him go at any point. So he hates Sammy, hates Cash Wheeler, hates Dax. He'd only be really upsetting Mansoor and Mason Madden, so we'll either release him or we'll let him just have his year and write him out there. It doesn't really help that he's stablemates with Will Hobbs, actually, now that I think of that. So, and of course, Dax doesn't want to work with him either. So, that's things, it's happening. So, to finish up, we'll just look over the tournaments. If I can quickly skip to there. Move that so there's a wee bit of hidden stuff. So, in the Briscoes Tag Team Tournament, you can see there Aussie Open have a nice little lead, although Lucha Bros still have matches in hand as of Top Flight. Outrunners have yet to go off the board. Group B, FTR 3 from 3, Kings of Black Throne 2 from 2, MXM Collection need to have 4 matches but still are unbeaten. It doesn't look good for the Acclaim for Angelo Parker and Matt Menard or the Butcher and the Blade. Group C, the Young Bucks, we've got a lot of stuff doing this one. The Bucks have 1 win and 1 defeat. Private Party have 4 matches, so do the Grizzled Young Veterans. So you're probably going to see a lot more of the Tag Team Cup on the road to Double or Nothing. In the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix, Mercedes has 2 matches to go, 18 points. Tony Storm has 15 points but 4 matches to go. Shida has 15 points with 3 to go. Fujimoto is nearly eliminated by Mercedes, but she still has 2 matches to go, especially one against the Hikaru Shida. And then we've got a few other matches to tidy up across the board. In Super Shine Elite Grand Prix, 3 matches to go for Athena, 4 for Jamie Hayter. Anna Jay needs a bit of a miracle to get there, as does Camille. Group C, you've got Mariah May still with 5 matches. You've got Io Shirai still to have 4, including a big matchup between the two, and I wouldn't count out in this situation Diona Purrazzo. It could possibly come too late for Mina Shirakawa and Thunder Rosa. In Group D, Chris Statlander and Britt Baker lead the way with 5 from 5 with a couple of matches to go. You're kind of looking at maybe a late push for Megan Bain, and I think even Marina Shafir at this point needs a bit of a miracle. But I think the plan is we'll have 4 group winners, we'll probably have a semi-final and then a final, or we'll just have a fatal 40. We'll see how we work it. But that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. The next episode will be the go home week towards Dynasty, and then after it will be Dynasty. So as always, a wee thumbs up, deeply appreciated. Check out the Fantasy Picker subreddit, Good Luck Software forums, twdv.com and bethebooker.net. And until next time, this is 21 Maxwell. I will see you soon. Bye bye.